8:33, everybody, and happening today, a press conference on Staten Island calling for change after a man in his 60s was allegedly attacked by two teenagers.
Yeah, police say they've arrested the teens, but Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella says more needs to be done to keep people safe. The Borough President joining us now live. So good morning to you. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So what is the message then that you're hoping to send later this morning about this terrible attack?
It was terrible. It was a gentleman, 62 years of age, just walking innocently down the street, just taking like his evening walk. And he was surrounded and attacked by a pack of young individuals. They chased him across the street. They beat him up. He ended up in the hospital, he'll need surgery. And the message is very simple. It's intolerable and it's unacceptable in Staten Island. Other parts of the city might occur. Here, what we're saying is an innocent person should be able to walk down the street without fear of attack. And we're trying to call attention to this and see what can be done to ensure it doesn't happen again. I feel for the man. I feel for his family. And on Staten Island, we have a very relatively safe community, and we have to root out these things out. And the young people who do this have to know that if they do it, and there's no consequence, who knows what they can just do it again. So we have to strike that balance of sending a message to especially younger people that this stuff is just unacceptable, and we have to do whatever we can. So today, as you mentioned, in just a little while, we'll be at the site with the family members and other elected officials. We're going to try to figure out a way to ensure this thing doesn't happen, because what we saw was just a violent attack on an innocent person, and we just don't want it. A grandparent or your child should be able to walk down the street without fear of being attacked.
Yeah, so how do you figure that out, right? With the current laws the way they are, because I just spoke to Chief Shell over the weekend, and he was saying, well, we need to change some of these laws, talk to Albany, City Council, so on and so forth. What is the how behind it?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair question. A few years ago, the state legislature changed the law, I think for the worse. We have bail reform that, under the guise of reform, really makes things worse, because we know by now a lot of people, recidivists who commit multiple acts, are back on the street by 5 o'clock or the next day. Raise the age, which you basically said anybody under a certain age now doesn't have to be prosecuted in the same way. I think those are the things that the pendulum swung too far in the wrong direction. And I think now that we see the implications and what has happened, we got to step back. The legislatures have to step back and say, you know what, our obligation is to protect innocent people. And if there are bad people who want to do bad things, we have to impose. We're talking about violent. We're not just talking about innocent, a fight between two kids. These are violent attacks on innocent people. And I think it's incumbent upon legislators in particular to say, I think we went a little bit too far and we can fix it. And that's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, the sad part about it is that the victim in that case says he wants to move now. I mean, that's the tragic part of it all as well. But you recently met with NYPD Deputy Chief Amir Yakatali, who's assigned to Staten Island. So I'm curious about what kind of public safety is going to be stepped up as students start school next week. Hard to believe we're saying that school's already.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time, right? This is the week where a lot of kids are going off to college, some starting for the first time. So it's a very exciting time. And for 99.9% of these families and kids, we should make sure that those are great, positive experiences. And from time to time, there are going to be situations where a handful of people want to disrupt it for the vast, vast majority. So in our conversations, not just last week, but continual conversations with NYPD, is how can we help keep people safe on Staten Island, whether it's a kid or a grandparent, everybody in between. And we have always, I think, continually trying to figure out ways to work with the Department of Education, the principals, the teachers, NYPD, to highlight especially young people, right? We got to get those young people who want to think they can just cause disruption, cause harm, get them on the right path so they can have their lives, to lead productive lives. For those who want to cause damage or cause harm, there should be consequences, but I think we also have an obligation and responsibility, in addition to their parents, to say, hey, kid, man, don't do this, right?
Yeah.
This is a bad path you're on. So that's why we are regularly in contact with the New York City Police Department, and they're the greatest in the world. And I know they want to keep us safe. Sometimes their hands are tied. And on Staten Island, we're here to support them. But most importantly, our main job is to protect innocent people.
Okay.
And that's what we try to do every day.
Talking about what's happening in Albany and legislatures, I want to talk about this other battle that's really brewing right now, and it's over these legal cannabis shops, specifically in Great Hills, right? So it was cleared by the state to open, but some local leaders are trying to stop it. Now we're seeing the legal cannabis shops open all around the state and the city. So first question is why, and where do you stand on the issue?
Right. So there's you just brought up two different things. The illegal cannabis shops, we have been working very closely with the city hall, the mayor's office, the NYPD and sheriff to try to curtail and shut them down in some instances because, as you just said, they're illegal. On the legal side, listen, it's the law of the land now. I think where a lot of folks have an issue, many people accept it, but there are a lot of folks who say, really, let's figure out better locations. There are other locations on Staten Island that have opened without controversy, and there are, excuse me, there are others in like pretty solid residential communities, relatively near schools, and perhaps once again, the law needs to be tweaked because I think some local folks are saying the current siting locations just are not appropriate, and
so where do you
you're going to
stand?
see some pushback.
Where do you stand?
I don't think that, in this case, I don't think it's an appropriate location. I think there are better locations, like the others that have opened on Staten Island, that are really not close to schools or churches or homes, and they're relatively isolated, and that's the balance. So, what happens sometimes in laws are passed, and then you say just let it go. But back to like bail reform and other things, you have to take a step back and say, hey, maybe we went too far. Maybe it needs to be tweaked. And I think that's what a lot of local folks are saying. Perhaps we should tweak this law and make it more transparent so people know what's happening.
All right, Borough President Vita Fossella, thank you again for taking the time to be with us this morning.
Always a pleasure. Thank you. Have a great week. Have a great day and a great week.
You too.
You too.